Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard this evening. Thought I'd space things out a little bit for you as we had the early morning edition where, as always, the eyes not fully open as we get the day underway. However, the Edmonton Oilers, Bob Stauffer dropping a bunch of hints, dropping a bunch of ifs when it comes to the Oilers and the defense today as it currently stands due to the situation primarily with Josh Brown disappointing and losing a job at camp by the appearances of it so far. And of course, Travis Dermott kind of earning a job. Troy Stecher being Troy Stecher that we knew he could be when we acquired him, minus the cyst now after the surgery. And of course, the mushy middle there where Ty Emberson is the fit for Darnell Nurse on the second pair, but is he going to be the solution? That maybe not the case. So let's discuss it all here in a matter of moments. But if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button, friends. It's going to be a long hockey season. Get this over with, get this out of the way, and just keep coming on back for your Edmonton Oilers news as you need it. So what we know today, Bob Stauffer mentioned a handful of things. Specifically, there's about 3 or 4 guys the Oilers could target in a trade as the season goes along. Officially the first time I've heard it from Bob Stauffer where he ruled out more than likely Rasmus Andersson as the Calgary Flames, in his words, just wouldn't be up for that. And, at the end of the day two, it's one of those situations where it was unlikely to begin with. And I know Bob did, in terms of talking about it just as a simple, like, hey, that could be something. And now just obviously looking at it in a more realistic lens, now that it's not the off season, well, yeah, it's probably not going to happen. And that's fine. That's dandy. We got to have our fun while we did, and that's all great. But he did mention Jacob Manga and, of course, Cale Fleury, who is the focus of today's video as the Seattle Kraken placed him on waivers today. Well, tough blue line to crack. And Magna on waivers there from the Florida Panthers. Goodness sakes, I hope it's Jacob Magna. Maybe I should check my facts before doing the video, but that ain't the focus, so we're not going to worry too much about it. Check the waiver wire today. Florida had somebody on there. All right, what we need to know, Cale Fleury. You come here not because I'm an official source. You come here because I got news sometimes. That's all we got. All right. Sorry. Have to correct myself on that. Trying to sound all official newsy and then fail like that. Cale Fleury. Oh boy. 63 games of NHL experience. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. Tice, when you say the Oilers could steal this guy off waivers from the Oilers, there ain't much to steal there. I mean, legitimately the Montreal Canadiens gave him to Seattle, and ultimately he has played a grand total of 22 games over 3 years for Seattle and is headed back to the minors if he doesn't get claimed. For the Oilers, well, why would they be interested? Why would they want to steal somebody that's 25 years old on an $825,000 salary this year, and of course plays right defense? Well, it's more of the same, and that's kind of what Bob Stauffer hinted towards with this Cale Fleury news, is it's really just more of the same for the Oilers on the right-hand side. A situation where you've got an undersized Stecher, you've got Brown, who's really not produced any results for you. Dermott has to play on his offside to make it work. And really, it's a chance where all of a sudden the Oilers would be taking a flyer on 2 younger guys to fill out the bottom 2 spots on the right-hand side. So is that necessarily a great thing? No, but again, I think it was mentioned a couple times there on Oilers Now tonight. It's really just a matter of if you have an opportunity to better your depth with younger players that are available on the waiver wire, you almost have to. And we've talked a lot about how the Oilers are going to have to get better at drafting and developing. They're going to have no limit on R&D. Well, when there's a player available on waivers like a Cale Fleury who has the potential to put it together at the NHL level like he still does, and obviously you've got a team that's cash strapped against the cap to try and make things work, you might want to do that. And I'm not saying, obviously, we don't want to lose Travis Dermott, who will likely get a contract, but I don't know if anyone in the bottom 3 guys between Brown, Dermott, and Stecher have necessarily won the right to outright start game 1 in the Oilers lineup against Winnipeg. So that's kind of the conversation to be had here around Cale Fleury. And I just think from everything that I know about Cale Fleury, everything I know about the Seattle Kraken, man, this is an absolutely ripe for the pickings opportunity for the Edmonton Oilers because 100%, I mean, Cale Fleury is not going to get the opportunity in Seattle. He's not. I mean, their blue line is stacked up on the right side in terms of guys that are proven NHL vets that get the job done night in, night out for them, and that's all that matters to the Seattle Kraken is you have three guys suit up regularly that get the job done. Clearly, Cale Fleury hasn't had the opportunity in 3 years there to get the job done, so for the Oilers, this is really we're usually, as Oilers fans, talking about the Oilers losing guys on waivers, but obviously, too, you're talking about a guy who might score over the course of his first 82 games in the NHL, 3 or 4 points all told, so not necessarily bad, good ad, but again, a guy that can play the bottom pair, a guy who doesn't necessarily hurt you in time on the bottom pair. -4 in 41 games in 2020 there with Montreal. Again, -3 in 9 games with Seattle. A little bit troublesome there and a little bit elevated most ice time you'd seen. And a guy that shoots the puck about once a game. So there's a couple of things there just on his baseline stats to like. But again, the contract's cheap. It's buriable. You can add another guy to the depth chart for free off the waiver wire. I think 100% when I'm making this argument to you right now, the Oilers absolutely should steal Cale Fleury off waivers from the Seattle Kraken. It just makes sense. It's just a solid, sound, possible thing to do. And obviously something that could benefit the Oilers substantially if it works out as well. And again, hey, you know what? If we don't have to hire a Josh Brown next year to fill this role, that maybe Cale Fleury's already in the organization and he's a little bit younger and a little bit more maybe trustworthy than Josh Brown is. Hey, Cale Fleury played one NHL game last year and he still wasn't the worst defenseman in the NHL. As far as metrics go, that belongs to Josh Brown. So as far as everything's concerned, I don't think it's necessarily anywhere close to the worst idea ever for the Oilers to possibly claim Cale Fleury. But what I want to hear right now in the comments section, the comments have been kind of quiet here, friends. Maybe a little low appetite for a preseason that really doesn't mean much to Oilers fans this year round. Maybe sound off on what you're thinking on Cale Fleury. Maybe Magna as well there in terms of adding somebody via the waiver wire over the next day or two here as we get towards that Monday the 7th cutoff to submit our roster around what I think it is 3 p.m. for the Edmonton Oilers. So stay tuned, friends. We'll have plenty of coverage the rest of the week. But for right now, I am going to head up on over here. I'll hear from you in the comments section. If there's anything notable worth mentioning, I'll get back to you in there and we'll go from there. So thanks for being aboard. Have a great night. We'll talk to you possibly in the morning here on out.